What's going on, party people? This is Jason, aka Daddy's Fast Cash, Dad's Pads, and the Dad Next Door, bringing it to you live every Thursday night. For now, might be switching to a Tuesday soon. And I almost didn't make it today because I did something to my back. Probably partying too hard this week for my wife's birthday, but you know, that's what you got to do when you're a family man. But anyway, enough about me. Can't wait to bring you my next guest, Mr. Matt Storm, and I'm going to let him tell you all about his bodybuilding business. How about that? So, you know, if you have a dad bod and you're going to need these tips to get back to this good shape, which you may care about, you may not. I don't know. But he's going to tell you how to do it in about 30 seconds. So pay attention. Here we go. Be right back.
Fatherhood. It's how we keep our tribes and families strong. You've landed in the right place if you're ready for dad jokes, tips, and tricks on fun parenting. Also with interviews with some of the coolest dad entrepreneurs we could track down and have them share their strategies to tackling it all in business and life on the Dad Next Door. And now, your host, Mr. Dad Jokes himself, Jason Centeno.
Hi, Nana. You shy. They don't show you it in action because things like this.
Oh, fix it. Fix it.
I love Daddy. He's a superhero. I don't know what a superhero. I know.
Every time I watch that, I see something new. It's funny. That one building with the scaffolding, it just sold that 2 months ago. And then that fire one, I don't know if anybody ever watches that really, but like there's just smoke and hoses and a fire engine. And I'm like, I wonder if anybody ever thinks about like, what the heck is that doing in there? Not realizing that I was a firefighter for 23 years, but you know, always something interesting from that beginning. But enough about me. Here's Matt, Mr. Stormtrooper himself. Also, did you notice the title that I gave you, the perfect dad?
Dude, I like that. And your promotion was insane. So when I shared it on Facebook, everybody's like, who's that? Where are you going to be? And this seems to be the place to be, my friend. So first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. But do you notice, like, so I give every one of the dads like a title, and it's a title from a movie switched around, but because you were Storm and it's the perfect Storm, I was like the perfect dad. And then I had the bodybuilding shot. So of course, you know, people are gonna be like, oh, really? So let's hear about that. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like the synergy of that's the kind of stuff I like to do. I try to figure out these little Easter eggs and throw them in there and see if people figure it out. But I think you caught on to that, so that's pretty good. Matt, so you're a lot of things. So let's get into, you know, what's your story? How did you go from being the beefcake into being the being the guy that promotes the beefcakes? Tell us all about how that happened.
I got to tell you, it was an accident. You know, I'd love to tell you we do things on purpose, and sometimes we stumble into that. And I had a church group that, you know, we had a once a week meeting, and we were talking about how this new division back in 2012 was coming through in the fitness industry. And we're like, this men's physique division is different from bodybuilding. And all you do is wear board shorts and hop on stage and do 3 poses and you're off, and that's it. You know, you just kind of get ripped, and it's kind of for the smaller guys. You don't have to wear those posing trunks. And we're like, all right, man, let's do it. So it's a group
that wasn't called like a fitness model. They gave you like a male name for that.
Yeah, it was. Well, we are called fitness models these days, not beefcake for sure. It was hilarious. First weekend, we're all committed to it, all jacked up. At 5 a.m., we're at the gym. And sure enough, about a week later, I am the only one left. Everybody else just decided to abandon that idea. Their wives were like, yeah, that's not a good idea. And my wife was like, well, if you're going to commit to it, just do it. So hired a coach, got a chance to compete for a little bit, ran the circuit, turned pro, got a chance to make my pro debut in Hawaii in 2018 and won my pro division there. And then also in Oklahoma, won the Oklahoma Pro. And then in 2018, just to kind of tie a bow around it, we went to our world championships and took top 5. That was it. And I decided I wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be able to impact and influence athletes who were up and coming. So I decided to get into the event promotion and start promoting shows and direct states to generate new shows, new promoters, and really grow the organization that way.
So what were you doing right before you got, I guess, approached to be this model? Like, were you like working at McDonald's or something? Or you like, what were you hustling? Protein shakes? Was you a surfer? Give me that story.
Dude, it was out of the back of the car, man. This protein, I was just opening up the back, taking a look around. We had some black market deals that we got done. And my wife and I have a business that we've had for 26 years. And so we worked together to build a book of business, and we have a lot of retention with our clients. So that really kind of pays the bills. This was a passion project, believe it or not, and ended up turning into something that became a career. So we sold Cutco knives. And I ran an office for 20 plus years. And then I got into the real estate type for closing gifts. And we just serve all of our real estate agents with their closing gifts, which they order every 6 months. And when you build that kind of a business, it's great just to be able to service them and be able to use that to, pour back into the family and look at other business ventures.
So you went from a 6-pack of knives to a 6-pack of abs. I get you, brother.
Yes.
Different kind of cuts. You went into the different kind of cuts, like these cuts, right? So I feel you. So that business, that kind of jump, event coordination is no joke. I mean, that is a lot. And now, I mean, we were talking and you started with, well, you said 4, but then now you're up to almost 12. So you're almost up to 1 a month. Like you're doing like 11 a year now.
Yeah. So the history is really interesting. When I was still competing, I was like, man, I really want to run a show. And people were like, yeah, you need to run your own show. And I'm like, cool, this sounds pretty easy. You put out some flyers and, people show up to your event. This took a year to put together. And so, I actually did it on Facebook. I said, hey guys, what should the show name be? Should it be Texas Takeover? And everybody's like, it needs to have Storm in it. And so I said, guys, just give me the name and let's birth this thing. And so Storm Classic came about. And that's the hat that I'm wearing. So you'll see the logo on it, funny enough. And in 2019, it took a year to get a chance to promote and do. We had our first show. It became the largest in the history of our organization. And so I think we did a couple of things right. I will tell you, it was a 40-hour-a-week gig for about 36 to 40 weeks straight, figuring out who the staff members were going to be, what awards worked, how to register athletes, get the insurance, find the venue, get our tanners and makeup and hair in our hotel, and just everything under the sun was really a great learning experience. And I loved it so much, we decided to have it a second year, which was back, from 2019 to 2020. We had it at the same venue, and it actually in COVID grew by 85%. So we had well over 200 athletes. It was the largest show in history to date now, as we keep outdoing ourselves. And then when 2021 came, we rolled the dice and we said, we don't know how this is going to look. Our president came to me and we were in Las Vegas in February of last year. And he goes, would you like to take this show over? I'm not going to be promoting shows anymore, but we want this show to be in good hands. And I said, absolutely. So we are running an event now in November. It's going to be a 2-day event and 2 separate shows back to back. So it's going to be at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. When we went out there, we happened to have a connection that was just kind of by fate. We signed a contract for those 2-day shows. And then we also have one in Phoenix, Arizona, which is first on the docket this year, which is going to be August 28th in Scottsdale, Arizona. So somebody once told me, they go, if you're going to do something, you might as well go big. And so far, it looks to be shaping up like an incredible year.
So because we're both entrepreneurs here, we don't need to talk exact figures, but what are all the ways that you monetize shows now? Like from the beginning, it was probably just, getting a couple sponsors to pay for the place and hoping you break even, and then ticket sales and maybe some concessions and stuff like that. But with this much activity that you're talking about right now, I mean, are you getting on TV yet? Are you getting televised, like ESPN kind of stuff? Anything close to that? Are you going to produce your own stuff? Are you going to make a sitcom out of this thing? What are we going to do here, man?
Well, we were 2 steps ahead of you, my friend. And this year we decided, well, we might not have an audience at a show, or we might have to cancel the show. So what if that happens? And that was a very real prospect. And I said, okay, let's get a production crew and let's live stream this event all around the world. And so the first year we did it, we did not live stream it. We didn't video it. We didn't get any footage. And that was a big lesson learned, because we couldn't take away and use that for future promotion. So what we did, Reality of Wrestling is located in Texas City, Texas, and Booker T, 5-time champion and you know, Hall of Famer. This is a guy who has an arena where he holds his wrestling events, and the venue sets up perfectly for a bodybuilding event. Well, they're very big on YouTube. They have well over 400,000 subscribers. They do shows every other week, and their production crew, I happen to know, and I said, hey, can you guys live stream this thing all around the world when we do it? And sure enough, I got a platform. They had 3 cameras. They produced everything, and it hit 7 countries. It hit 38 states. No, it's not on ESPN. We're not signing contracts just yet. I don't think we will. I think we're going to keep it at the live stream session. So that way people, you know, who are competing, who have family all over the world, who can't come in to physically see the show, we were really doing it for them. And they really enjoyed, they got the entertainment and the value of being able to see their friends, their family competing, really sharing the moment with them. And it's going to be a go for the next 4 events. So they will be live streamed. They will not be televised, but I think YouTube has been a big part of that, you know, with StreamYard and, you know, Zoom, and the way that we do things virtually, we were able to pivot, and we were also able to make it worthwhile financially to be able to give something that people wanted. And we just went ahead and made it happen.
You know, it would be a good idea, right? So people, the conversation we had before this. So see, this is why you guys got to be in the in crowd and to hear the conversations before the conversations. So Matt, we were talking about, because we met on Clubhouse, we're in these dad groups, right? So we're gonna touch on that. But Matt was sharing with me how he's friends with Dane Cook now. I don't know if you guys know who Dane Cook is, but he's a comedian, and you know, I feel like he should make a comeback. If he is not already on that path, he should make one. But you should see if he wants to interview people in his own style at these classes while you live stream, get a little of that, get them back into action, beat off some of that rust, plus get some views, do a little comedy, maybe, you know, like do a dad bod competition even on the side. You got all these dads in this group now. I mean, there's a whole subculture here of just a lot. See, this is why you should hire me. I should help you with your events. That's what I'm saying. That's
Are you my PR, my hype guy, Jason? Because I mean, if that's the case, man, hired, done. Let me sign it up.
And remember, this is the thing. Like I take Bitcoin. I can't do contracts.
Okay, so here's my next question. Do you take Ethereum? Because I sold all my Bitcoin at $6,000 a coin, and then it shot up to 58 grand, of course. And so I'm all in Ethereum. So are you okay with that?
Yeah, Eth is good. You know, you can make some NFTs. In fact, you can just sell some old poses of yours as an NFT. Get some extra Eth to sponsor yourself, and go into some, you know, a calendar of you back in your prime with the board shorts. Just the evolution of the Stormtrooper whole thing, man. I mean, there's a lot you could do now these days. I mean, the world is wide open for opportunities. You just got to fixate on a couple of them and hammer them down. But I mean, you know, you've done that already. So I know you got 3 children. First thing, I guess, does entrepreneurship run in your family? Was that your father, your grandfather, uncles? Anything coming down from up above filtered down to you, or how'd that work?
Great question. You know, ironically, we're first-gen entrepreneurs with both my wife and me. So, you know, just a little bit of a background. My dad was an airline pilot. My grandfather was an airline pilot. My grandmother was a travel agent, and my mom worked in restaurants, and then she became a secretary and then an executive assistant. So they were all salaried 9-to-5 people. We didn't really understand what business was about. And when I was 18 years old, I knew that I wanted to do more than just sit behind a desk, fly an airplane around. I wanted to do something where it was my own. I never wanted to work for anybody else. And that was one thing that I believe once you learn how to do and learn the basic principles and learn the concepts and understand those things, you can apply it to any business that you want to do. You just have to find what passion you're in. And, you know, my wife comes from, you know, kind of the same background and the fact that they were all salaried employees, and she had the gift of gab and also being able to be highly relational with people. And that definitely helps in business when you have rapport and you have not only relational business, but also transactional, and people who continue to come back to you because you can build trust and the integrity really shows through. So it didn't run in the family. We're kind of first generation. And now our kids that you mentioned, Jason, is something that my kids are coming home with money. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, we're selling slime liquors. What the heck is a slime liquor? Well, they're making these things in the kitchen, and they're making food coloring and dye everywhere. And they're selling lemonade on the corner. They are entrepreneurs at heart. And so I'm kind of a proud papa man, they are making more money than I am in some cases. So I don't know how they're doing it. But my son is making appearances at 7 years old. He goes, hey, by the way, my friend said he'll give me $10 if I come over and play with him. I'm like, that's the spirit, son. So I think we're doing something right, man.
Got your little Alex P. Keaton there. If you guys know who that was from back in the day, just coming in, suit and tie. You know, he might start making some little supplements in the kitchen. Maybe you got to get him to make some power pops or something. You can sell them at your event, put them out there in the corner. You know, these athletes need a little what do you call it, energy boost or something. And it could taste like whatever, but they, you know, when you're an athlete, if anything has any taste, you're happy to get it. So if they get a little sugar in their power drink, they're happy, especially at that point. So yeah, sounds like he can be making some product. Get him on that, man. That's the next thing. So I'm gonna break this up a little bit with some weird questions, just because I like to mess with people's head a little bit. So I'm gonna ask you 5 random questions, and you're just gonna answer them any way you want. And they have nothing to do with anything most of the time, but it just amuses me to see what you come up with. So if you could paint anything, what would you paint?
Paint?
Yeah.
Man, this is rapid fire too, so I have to be quick. My car.
Got it. Me probably body paint a woman if I could get away with it. All right. What celebrity annoys you the most?
Gwyneth Paltrow. Yours?
What's the most interesting thing you have in your wallet?
Money.
Okay. What's the meanest thing you've ever said to someone?
Can we say profane words on here? I actually told somebody they're ugly.
That's like such a 4-year-old to anybody kind of insult. You ugly. Your mom said you ugly. They got even songs for that thing. All right. If you could get a yacht, what would you call it?
Fitnautic.
Nice. That's a nice little play on words. All right. That's it for your rapid fire questions. You got I wish I had that noise. B. The first one to get a grade. I've never graded anybody. All right. So what's your daily routine look like? And I know you better say Clubhouse because you live on there now.
So that's kind of how we met. And I got to tell you, I am an addict. We just did a room yesterday that talked about FOMO and Clubhouse addiction. And it is a real thing. Got on January 21st. And here's how my day starts. You're not going to believe me. I set my alarm for 6:58 a.m. And I hope this isn't published worldwide because people are going to know all the business now because I'm about to give you the goods. 6:58 a.m. the alarm goes off. I get up. 7 a.m. is my first room. 7 a.m. in the Miracle Morning, we go from 7 to 9 a.m. 9:05 is the Are You Man Enough room. We go from 9:05 to typically, and this is Central Time, 9:05 to about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then what I'll do is I'll float through rooms during the day, and then I'll find my evening rooms about 8 p.m., and then I'll be on those until about 11 p.m., maybe midnight, depending, and then I get up and do it all over again. Now, with that being said, I do take the time to go to the gym during the day, and I've got my earpods in. And I do listen to a lot of Clubhouse. I don't like to participate during the day, but I like to listen because it's like live podcasting and you can pick what you want to listen to and it's all in real time. I do also eat. I do also take a shower. So I want to make sure those things are clear in the routine. I do function outside of Clubhouse. That is something that has been a big investment because it's really changing lives. And that's how we're getting a chance to meet great people like you.
So your life is a club sandwich. You got it in the morning and at night. So who am I stealing you from right now? Like what room?
I don't know what's going on. I saw a couple. I jumped into a room with Greg Louganis right before I got on here. He is going to be a guest on my podcast. So it's nice to know some Olympians, some professional athletes, and even some people. I did get a chance to hear Ed Snowden yesterday, which if you've ever seen the movie Snowden, it was some next level stuff. I was like insanely fascinated. And I don't use that word. I don't think I've ever used that word in my 44 years of being here. I was absolutely enthralled and I could not get away from him. The way he was talking and just how that whole national security thing went. He actually had to hide his identity so he couldn't be tracked just to be on the call. It was insane stuff, dude.
Yeah, I did catch that movie and I did notice like he gets out there, but he definitely hides all traces of himself. And, unfortunately it's a shame, but that's what you got to do because, pissed a lot of people off and he's a hero. I mean, straight up. So, um, you know, I joke about Clubhouse, but look, I agree. You can make a lot of valuable relationships on there. This is a valuable one, and all the dad rooms. Like, I'm glad I can go and pop in and, you know, jump into this one or that one. I think I think I've been onto Are You Man Enough a couple times, and there's been a few, and I think every once in a while when I get on there, I sometimes I shake up a room with some not messed up questions, but everybody's real. Not I don't want to say you should be positive. We're there to uplift each other, but sometimes they don't want to talk about like the, you know, for one of a better word, when you got to give out the ass whoopings at home and all that other stuff. And so all that, everybody starts dancing around the way to say things, and they don't want to be the one that, you know, in the Spanish culture, it's like la chancleta, la correa, you know, talk about that stuff that comes into play. But here's the thing, the cultural differences between people, you got this cancel culture, American, it got to be one way, you got to watch what you say. And then you got everybody else that don't care about that and will say what they want to say. And fortunately, most of those people are people of color like myself. So we can get away with it, because if you say anything to us about it, then we're going to call you a racist and throw it back on you. So we're the ones, I take upon myself the mantle of being the hero that will say what you guys want to say sometimes, but you can't because you might get in trouble for it. And I'm going to say it for you, because somebody should say it. Shouldn't be afraid to say what you want to say. And if somebody gets mad about it, the hell with them. So anyway, but I do love those rooms, and I do meet some great guys like yourself and have some great conversations. And like I said, you sometimes meet some famous people. You never know who you end up vibing with. Like, it's really, really crazy how that platform has just connected people in a way that never would have imagined. And hopefully that doesn't go away when they change to Android, but we'll see. I don't know, because, you know, it has changed rapidly since it started, but, you know, it's a good thing. So what does your best dad life look like outside of all that?
Good question, but I have to turn the question back on you. You ever been kicked out of a Clubhouse room?
I've been dumped to the audience, but never completely out.
And then who's the coolest person you met on Clubhouse? This is a loaded question.
Myself. See how I turned that around? I'm trying to remember. I can't say I met them. I want to say there was a room with Jamie Foxx in it that I just loved hearing his stories because of the way he brought other people into his stories that were actually there. You know what? It's between his room and Rob Weiss, he's the guy a director of Entourage and some other stuff like Ballers, because it just reminds me of all the guys back home and the way they talk, and everything's just like F this, F that. And it's this real naturally guy, like, you know, no apologies, you know, we're not trying to dance around any kind of things that might go on. It's just, it is what it is, and you got to deal with it. He's like almost like Ari in real life. Like, he's just saying whatever he wants to say, which I also admire. So Ari Gold, that would be the one I wanted to meet on there if he was an Ari Gold character. Actually, somebody imitating Gary Vee was pretty funny. He was a Gary Vee impersonator. Did you ever come in his room? I
heard him, and I couldn't believe it. He was spot on, dude.
He sounded just like him, and you could just hit him with anything, and he would come up with a Gary Vee-ism for it. And it was just, I think I reached out to him on Instagram. I was like, that was a good riff you did there for a while. He was like, thank you. I was like, I gotta remember that for the next time. Maybe I'll hire you. So yeah, I'm like I said, it's probably way more than that, but you know, some good relationships, some business relationships, and just, you know, entertaining wise, I think those would be my top three. How about you?
Yeah, man, that's a toughie. I've never been kicked out of a room. I have been moved down to an audience. I accidentally got modded on a really big stage, and they realized it wasn't the right mat. So they invited me and put me as a co-host, and they're like, nope, that's not the one we were looking for, because there's a lot of mats on the platform. You know, just the people that we get a chance to hang out with, it's amazing the proximity that we're able to get instant access without having to go through gatekeepers or managers or anything like that. And they're real relationships. In real time, you don't get to talk to people like that. You know, usually they have some sort of barrier or layer of protection out in real life. If you try to get them on a phone call, that's never going to happen. And, you know, I would say that Flex Wheeler has been one of the amazing gentlemen that I've had the pleasure of getting a chance to mod rooms with. And, This has led into many different, in our industry, in the bodybuilding industry, these guys are legends. These guys really trailblazed and set the tone for the entire industry and the way it was going, what we didn't want to have, what we now have. And I believe that, as we continue, we're going to meet more people, especially as more people are onboarded with Android, as you were talking about. I just can't wait to see who it is. I know Justin Bieber came on, and I wasn't in his room, but everybody was talking about that for days. They're still talking about it. And I had Tori Spelling and Paris Hilton in one of the rooms, and then they started following. And, it's kind of crazy how we get a chance to kind of be in this maze of what we call Clubhouse and make these kind of connections.
Agreed. So because we kind of jumped off the question, I just want to know, like, your day as a dad, like, what does that look like for you? Because we just talked about our stuff, but, I got 6 kids, you got 3. How do we fit them in? How do we, how are we being congruent with being good dads, et cetera? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And now that we had the fun questions, we'll get serious for a second. Let me get my serious face on.
Turn your hat backwards when you get serious.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, you just saw my hairline. You'd probably realize why I didn't do that there. All right. So when we're getting serious about really, it's a little crooked too, huh? We're getting serious about
take a moment. No wardrobe. We don't need wardrobe malfunctions on this show. All right. I don't want to have you complaining offline that I didn't get your best side. Go. Good.
Oh man. No.
Donna, you.
It's funny because the kids get up about 7:00. This is a daily routine that we do. We fight with them for about 30 minutes to get dressed and eat their breakfast, push them out the door. And at about 8:15, either my wife takes them or I'm home, and we get a chance to start our real day. Right. So we have that interaction with them for the morning. And when they get off the bus, they get home about 3:45. Either we're going to martial arts or some sort of practice. We have gymnastics, and we're looking to introduce baseball for our son. So we have 2 parents and 3 people doing 3 different things. That's fun. The martial arts thing I do with my daughter because I thought it was important that not only that we model, something for our kids, we also get a chance to do it with them. The one thing that I wanted as a kid and as a child, I wanted to be able to participate in things with my father as opposed to just do something, have him be in the stands and, try and make him proud. Right. And so after my parents got divorced, he wasn't in the stands. He didn't come to events. And so it actually kind of lit a fire under me to try and be my best. So at least when I did talk to him over the phone, or when I saw him on a vacation or a summer, I would be able to tell him what we accomplished, right? So he would be proud and he would have that respect for his son. My kids, we kind of like to let them kind of take on their own identity. And my daughter is incredibly competitive. We're getting our black belts here in a few months. And that's my oldest daughter, who's 10. We do that twice a week. So on a Monday and a Wednesday night, we get a chance to do that. And when they get home from 3:45 to about 8:30, we get some quality time. So today we went swimming right after they got off the bus, and we got a chance to throw the football around a little bit. And, we get a chance to sit down and read, play games, do the kind of things that families I've always wanted to have done. And so eating dinner is definitely a challenge sometimes when we're going so many different directions. We try and spend the weekends, if we're not traveling together, just a little bit of downtime, decompress, enjoy each other's company, try not to get on each other's nerves, and just do things that are engaging and hopefully are stimulating to them. Because we understand, Jim Shields wrote 18 summers, right? We get 18 summers with our kids. And right now I only have 8 left with my oldest daughter. And so really she's 18 and she probably doesn't, and when she's a teenager, doesn't want to do much with mom and dad anymore. She's got her own set of friends. And so as this, I think about a little hourglass being turned, and all of this sand is slowly trickling down, and we can't stop it. We can't reverse it back, right? To say, hey, just give me a little bit more time. Once that thing is turned over, it's going. And, time is indiscriminate. And I just want to value and treasure these times. So that way, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road, hopefully my daughters and my son can come back to me and say, Dad, you did the best you could. We enjoyed what you did. We appreciate you. We love you. We respect you. And I want them to be able to hopefully do that with their families when they have, kids, and we have grandkids that are coming over. We get to enjoy the grandkids because we can send them home at any given time. We don't have to have them 24/7, which I know it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, and teaching them hopefully the right core values and really the right way to treat people and the way to live.
Yep.
I got serious on you, man. I'm sorry.
No. Listen, we all do it. We all have to figure out our own way doing it. But like you just said, there's the mad rush in the morning and usually the mad rush when they get home, because there's like, all right, you got to get all these things done so we can kind of get to the fun stuff like relaxing or playing or whatever. So to get out the door and come home and get your homework done. And then if, depending on the baths, like, I got double the amount. So depending on who's behaved, who didn't get in trouble in school, if it's the weekend or not, or you got to do homework tomorrow. But this week we had a pretty good, like I said, it was my wife's birthday. So I kind of I do birthday weeks because I don't think you could get it all in one day. And at the end of the day, make your own rules, right? So we took extra time with family. My parents were here. My son got to play pool, and he started whooping everybody behind on the pool table. So that's good. And I'm good. You know what I mean? Pick up a skill. Go ahead. If I don't have to be on top of it, because this one always wants all the attention, and I got girls. So there's already going to be a fight. But my oldest doesn't care for the attention. He's hardly around. So I only got 2 more summers with him, but he's already kind of starting to fade out. So I just try to grab what I can with who I can and live to the best. And then if I have, responsibilities, get them in when I can get them in. And I've just gotten to the point where it's like day by day, do everything you can in that day. Don't sweat yesterday. Don't try to predict tomorrow. Go at it. Go after it today as much as you can. And then, tomorrow's another day, hopefully. And that's it. So I'm really been living pretty day to day lately. So, I mean, like I said, everybody's different. If you have certain goals or other things bigger responsibilities like events, and you answer to a lot of people, you can't just let that not be addressed because you're the bottleneck sometimes. So knowing that, I don't get involved with too many of those things. And when I do, I try to try to figure out better times to address those kind of things, or get ahead of them the night before or in the evening. But, everybody's got to find their groove, like you said. So, I
want to touch on something, if you don't mind, because my daughter competes in kids fitness, and it's cool because we actually have 6 to 16-year-old categories. And that's one thing that I said, if we're going to do this show, I want to create something for kids so they can go alongside with their parents if they choose to compete and the kids want to compete. Interestingly enough, all the kids, we had 6 the first year, we had 11 the second year. We're going to have close to 30 this year where they can do martial arts, gymnastics, and things like that. And, I guess those are the moments that we're able to capture. We have pro photographers and second and third shoots who can capture those moments. And, Jason, when you brought that about, you said you had 2 summers with your son left. You've got 6 kids. And, one of the things that I can tell you that I'm going to miss in the memories is when we were yelling and screaming, when the hallways are quiet. What are we going to do and how are we going to act, right? Because they say that, in marriage, we talk about year 7 and 9 as being that death zone for a lot of, couples who struggle, because that's about the time they're having newborns and they require a lot more attention. And then year 21 to 23, those are the times where they become empty nesters. So what happens when you become an empty nester? What's left of your relationship with your spouse? Did you continue to date each other? Did you continue to stay interested? And, with the heavy travel load, you're right. It is kind of a front-loaded situation. So we have to do that. And this is the bottleneck. When I'm away, I want to miss those kids. I want to be able to come home and watch them sleep for 2 or 3 minutes, because that's what gives me peace. And I think that every relationship is different with our kids. And I think we're going to be able to cherish those moments and hopefully pull those moments back when we need them the most, when we question what we're doing or why we're doing it. That's really my why. And I just wanted to interject that in there because I believe that we can get so caught up with the stuff. We can cut loose and have fun. And a lot of times it's something where we don't realize when we snap our fingers, 5 years is gone. We don't get that back. So it's important to pay attention to the now as well.
Agreed. Like I said, I try to be conscious of it as much as possible. And again, you're going to slip up, but just knowing is half the battle. And then it's just the other half is, doing something about it as much as you can. So what's one weird thing people don't know about you?
What's one weird thing?
Most people, maybe your wife knows.
I don't think she knows much about me. It's actually probably better that way too. That's what keeps us together. The one weird thing, here you go. I like pickles and chocolate together.
That's right. You did say that. I was wondering, and you said peanut butter together too, right? Pickles, peanut butter, and chocolate.
Dude, I got to tell you, a Hershey's bar, and then you dip it into some good peanut butter, take a bite of that, polish that thing off, and have a pickle to go with it to wash it down. You can't go wrong. And my wife, when she was pregnant, had her cravings, and I think I relived her cravings. She didn't have as many as I had, and she's looking at me like I'm absolutely crazy. And I'm like, hey, if the taste buds want it, the taste buds got it. So there you go. There's the weirdness for you this fine evening.
I will say this. I used to call that sympathetic pregnancy, because when they get big, you get big too, right? But I never heard of the sympathetic cravings, or you had to take it. You had to go and take it to another level with the pickle thing. Oh, but that's not to say I would never try it. I'm a fan of the chocolate and the peanut butter, and I do like pickles. I just never had them all together. So, and I do like sweet pickles, so I can't imagine it would be that terrible. And fried pickles are pretty good too. So.
All right. Next podcast you do, I'm expecting a live report, because I'm going to tune in to see if you do it.
Then I'll probably lose. All right. So it's cool that you brought that up. So I didn't mean to gloss over it. Is your daughter competing in this new category then? You said since she's doing the fitness thing? She's
done it 2 years in a row, and she'll do it for the third year this year. She's actually wanting to go out to Arizona and have a kids fitness division there. And I'm allowed to do it since they're my shows and my productions. It's just a question of, we're at a resort and a casino. I'm not so sure 6 to 16-year-olds, it's going to be age appropriate for that, venue or setting. Where we do it in Texas, it's totally cool, because where we have our event is a staycation. It's like a family resort. Moody Gardens has like water parks, Schlitterbahn, just great things for families. So it really is more appropriate for that. This will be her third year competing. She's always my first competitor to sign up, and she takes such pride in ownership, and she brags to all her friends at school that she gets a chance to do the Storm Classic, and she wears all the shirts and the merchandising and the hats, and she just thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread.
So regarding the casino thing, I think casinos have gotten a lot more family friendly, number one. And number two, do this with your daughter one day. So I'm going to tell you a story I did in a casino, and it was the funnest thing I ever did. So, when you go to casinos, you have a lot of older people. And so they actually have, for rent, those little scooter carts that they get around with.
Yeah.
So I decided to rent one for myself anyway, even though I wasn't older. And it was like, yeah, $40 a night. Best $40 I ever spent. I rode that son of a bitch everywhere. In the elevator, through the casino floor. I got dressed up. I took it to the club. I rode my wife on it. I parked it outside the club and took the key. I watched as everybody was complaining about it. It was in the way. Who's this piece of crap? But they couldn't move it. It was too heavy. When I came out, I got back on it and rode away. And I had it for 24 hours. So the next day, I took my kids and I was whipping through the whole casino as fast as I possibly could with them riding on it. So what I was going to say is, the next time you go to a casino, take your daughter out in a cart and have some fun with that sucker. Do as much as you can with it. She'll remember forever, because there's pictures of that night floating around other places, and every time I see them I laugh, because people are like, wait a minute, I forgot you did that, and it was just some funny stuff I did. So fun in a casino, that's what I would do, because I don't gamble like that. Like I would just, if I go, it's just like it'll be nickel slots or something, and it'll be go to eat and club and environment and shows and stuff like that, but the gambling isn't really me. So that was kind of my fun. Something to try out when the next time you go to one.
So what casino was it, if you don't mind me asking? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think that one was, it was in Atlantic City. It was Borgata, I want to say.
All right. Cool.
So that's not a common one, but I imagine most of them have it. I also met Trump at his casino long ago, way before he was president. Another funny story. See, this went totally sideways, but so what?
Come on, keep going.
My friend had a bachelor party or something. Yeah, I think it was. And we're waiting on the table, and Caesars. No, it wasn't Caesars. One of his in Atlantic City. I forget. Taj Mahal. So we're waiting, and my friend's kind of a baller. He's like, "Yeah, I got us a good table. Blah blah. We gotta wait a minute." They said there's somebody's at the table, but they're getting it ready for us. So we're sitting there, and the club is bumping, and we're like, next thing you know, here he comes with a couple people, and he's like, he pats me on the shoulder. He's like, "Thanks for waiting, guys," and he keeps going. I'm like, "Oh, that was cool." He wasn't mad that he got rushed out of his own table from his own club. He just took off, and he was like, "I'm out." So that was my one Trump story.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's why I voted for him. Just that one exchange right there. He got my people are like, "How can you vote for him?" But like, dude, hear this story. Now you'll know.
You're a fan for life now, huh?
Fan for life. He just gave up his table for me, so I had to reciprocate. I gave up the table for him in the end, because they were thinking about running me, but I had to decline because I was too busy.
Well, you're the superstar, so I mean, when Jason walks in, people bow and say, "Hey, we need to get this guy the best table in the house." So I get you. I get you.
Yeah, one day that'll happen. All right, so kids stuff. How do you deal with the anger? Because they will make you angry.
I don't even know if you can hear this. I'm on a condenser mic right now, but my kids are screaming in the other room, and surprisingly, you might even get a little bit of it. I've learned that whatever I do and how angry I get is going to be reflected directly in all three of my kids. They don't like it. I grew up with it. And that's something that I think we deal with as men in a certain way where, number one, there's this type, and this is not all men, this is just some men, right? They have this little pressure valve, and they release that pressure valve and allow a lot of the frustrations that, are kind of eating away at them or building up. They're able to get that so it doesn't become a powder keg or explosion. And early on, it was a powder keg for me. I internalized it and didn't have that little pressure valve release. And so everything just built and built and built, finally, where it was just like, okay, I can't take it anymore. We're going ballistic. And, I would say that my kids, they were more afraid of the voice than anything, because they could tell when my face would get red and I would get upset. I think that's important to really take a step back and see the awareness of, number one is, why can't I control my emotions, or why don't I control my emotions? One of them is disempowering and one is empowering, and I can control anything that I do to an extent. And so I had to take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, you know what, this is something that I have to address. And I want to, first of all, tell my kids, this is not acceptable behavior by your father. I need to do a better job. I need to man up. And it's okay to tell your kids when you're wrong. And when they heard that, they were like, "Oh, okay, so we're allowed to make mistakes." I go, "Yes, as long as you know it was a mistake and you know what right and wrong is. And if you're not sure, come ask." So that way it wasn't that, man, I really don't know. I'm kind of tiptoeing around daddy or walking on eggshells. That's the kind of relationship I had with my father. And that's not what I want to have with my kids. And I want my kids to feel comfortable enough to come to me. And they also say, anger is justified in ways. I would never get to the point of any physical violence because I don't believe in it. I know some people might, believe a little bit more in that, and that's fine. I do think, though, that when things happen, when people know they're doing the wrong thing, anger can play a really good role in lessons learned, and it can be a very good teacher. So if it's used in the right way, and it's also explained on maybe why it's being used in the way it's used, it's important to disseminate that information so that way kids can understand it or spouses can understand it, especially when we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're all, it took me a very long time to figure out I'm not going to be perfect, right? Because we always think we are. The inflated ego says, look, what we're doing is justified because we're trying to put food on the table. We've got this expectation of being the leader in the family. And sometimes leading is admitting when we're wrong or when we need to do things differently and keeping everyone involved in a decision as opposed to just making command decisions and running a dictatorship. So, when it comes to the question of anger, it is something that is always, I think, going to be a work in progress for men and women alone and even kids. And I see my kids doing a better job of managing it when they feel like something is wrong. And we need to let them know what's acceptable and what's not, and hopefully be able to guide them through that process because we want to be able to have healthy individuals, kids who grow up into adults and know how to deal with that emotion when they feel it. And I think that that's a big component, and that's a great question that you asked, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, we all deal with it a little bit differently, and myself included. You know, listen, my household's always noisy. There's always somebody yelling at somebody else, and it's kind of like, you know, there's the levels of just volume, and then there's the seriousness of the ones that are like, hey, this is really bad. And I know as a kid that with me, you had to give me a reason. And it's not because it was a respect thing. It's because if you're angry, I want to know why, not because you said so. Because if you tell me, then I won't do it again. But if you don't tell me, I'm probably going to do it again because you didn't give me a good enough reason not to. And also another thing I learned was you can do anything you want as long as you're willing to deal with the consequences. So if the consequences is just always going to be yelling, then I can take that. But if there's going to be a bigger one and you want me to stop, you need to like get into that with me. And it was one of the reasons why I didn't do well on teams and, you know, I was more of a solo person or a loner and wasn't in the military, although that probably could have helped some things. But, you know, to my detriment sometimes, it worked against me too. But I feel like I will do that most of the time and try to give them a reason because I want them to learn something from it. Unfortunately, with kids, sometimes it's like, as soon as you say it, it just leaks out the other side. But hopefully one day it resonates. But yeah, you definitely need more than the yelling and the hitting and the calmness. You need all the colors in the crayon box. Definitely with kids. I mean, you can't just have one or two. You got to have a few. So, agree with you there. So, you're in a lot of rooms, and you know, I'm pretty sure you get interviewed a lot now. So, what's one question you wish people would ask you but they never do? That could be about business or just anything.
Yeah, you know, I think in this whole journey of life, it's like, what do you want out of life? Not very many people ask that question, and I don't think it's ever been asked. And I think that a lot of times, you know, I believe that we're inherently good as people and human beings. And I also believe at the same time, we're inherently flawed. And it's really easy to be selfish. You know, we think about things about us a lot of the times because we operate out of our own bodies and minds, and they're in turn serving others. So, you know, very few people ask us, what is it that you want out of life? You know, you have coaches who are paid to do that, but people who truly care, who have no dog in the fight, they really want to know about you and they're genuine and sincere about building a relationship or a connection. Those are the type of questions. That one question right there is I wish more people would ask, because I love to ask that question of other people. And when I ask it, they can't answer it. Let's put it this way. They try and answer it, but you can tell it's a response that they've been programmed to say because they haven't thought about it. So they immediately go into defensive or protection mode, or that canned answer that they think that people want to hear. And sometimes it plants a seed with people to say, look, why do I do what I do? Why do I get up every morning and 6:58 a.m. I turn the alarm off and then get on Clubhouse at 7? Well, that's probably not going to be the case 5 years from now. I'm not going to be doing the same routine. So why am I changing these little things in my life? What is the end goal? And, you know, I think that I'm going to answer my own question.
I was going to say, you better answer it after you say that.
Yeah, and I knew you were going there too. So, you know, I thought about the legacy that I was going to live that my father left me. You know, my father passed away last week, 4 years ago. And I'll never forget the call that I got, because I wasn't able to be with him because in 3 weeks' time, he was diagnosed and he was done. And my stepmom said he's probably not going to make it through the night. And I thought, wow, I'll never see him again. I just saw him, you know, 3 weeks before, and he looked scared. He looked nervous. He didn't know what he believed. I have a faith in God, and I know that I was, you know, brought on this earth to serve a purpose. And I think about the legacy that he lived and left. And, you know, he did live it every single day. He lived what he thought was going to be the most impactful in this world. Maybe he was, you know, a little bit more introverted. I'm a little bit more extroverted. I believe that, you know, I'm put on this earth to impact people, and people are to impact me in a way to where we can live together and we can live productively. And when I'm gone, people will still say, I remember when. People lose relevance the longer time goes on, right? You know, we think about the people we lose, and in the moment, the gravity of the situation is really heavy, and it eventually heals, right? There's a wound there, and when it's fresh, it's really sensitive. And then over time, we learn to heal. Breakups, relationships, people passing away and moving on. And, you know, we wonder when our time is up, and we don't really know when that is. And I kind of like that. And the reason why is because it requires me to live with urgency and importance. And to know that, you know, every day I need to do something that hopefully changes something or makes an impact in somebody. And, you know, when my kids have their kids, you know, I might be around, I might not. You know, when my grandkids have kids, I might be a great grandfather. You never know. It's very hard to see the future and understand what's about to happen. I do know this, though. I do know that there's a lot of mistakes that people make. I probably have made more mistakes than any other 44-year-old on this planet. I also think that there's a lot of good things that we can do. And I want to be remembered for the good things and the things that people talk about in history. You know, you go back hundreds of years, you've got those names, those household names, right? And I don't have to mention any, but I think you could think of your head of 2 or 3 who has made an impact in this world, you know? And I don't know if I'm ever going to be remembered or for how long, but I do want to be remembered for one thing. I did my best with what I had. And that's basically what I can feel comfortable and rest in peace with.
Got it. So for me, so normally the question I would ask kind of close to that is, how do you want to leave your mark in the world? And you kind of, you know, deals with legacy and that kind of stuff. And for me, it's, you know, I think I've said it before, but I want to make sure 100 kids are adopted through my influence in my lifetime. So what that looks like, you know, I have, the more I explain this to people, they start to get it. But like, what does 100 look like? Or am I going to adopt 100 kids? No, unless I mean, it's possible, but I don't see me physically doing that by myself. I would go crazy. Probably wouldn't even know all their names. I'm already bad with names. So I'd probably name them all the same name. I'd be the next George Foreman. They'll all be named Jason or something. But what I mean is I want to inspire other people to, you know, adopt children. And the way I want to do that is I want to help create 100 tech companies. And of those 100 tech companies, there's obviously going to be 100 millionaires. And of those 100 millionaires, probably a percentage of them are going to be dad entrepreneurs, which is why I do this. And those are the guys I want to put that seed in their heart for, because as I've already, you know, been able to do with at least a few friends, was that it's the dads that normally will take that step forward. The mothers will talk about it, but the dads have to figure out how to make, you know, oh, what am I going to get? I got to get a bigger car. I got to get a bigger house. They say they do this, but inside they're not like that. They need that financial stability in their head as well. So really that's my secret way in. I try to create these other people that a percentage of them are going to kind of be along that path with me, which is why I do the dad rooms, which is why I do the show, all this other stuff. So I feel like if you can verbalize it like that, it makes it a lot easier, because then like a catchphrase or like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, or something that will just remind somebody in their head real easy. When you get that clear, it's going to be a lot easier for that to be apparent, you know, if that's on your tombstone or whatever. But that's the way I feel like I'm going to leave a mark, is by attempting to or surpassing that particular goal. And so everything kind of moves in that direction. And I mean, that's the best way I can put it. And all this is a fun way of doing it, because I'm about family, I'm about fun. So both of them have to be there, right? And whatever that looks like, that's what it looks like. And hopefully the message of the 100, the journey to 100, is what resonates the most, because that's easy to remember. So I would just say to anybody out there, like, kind of like, if that, you know, you want to leave a legacy, you want to leave a mark, come up with some kind of a quick, concise way to frame that idea into like one sentence. And then it'll be a lot easier, because people are like, yeah, he did that thing. Just something out there. I mean, the Clubhouse rooms is, in a way, is kind of a version of it, but are you in any masterminds?
Yeah, you know, funny you mentioned, I know that we have Jeff Lopez in common, and, you know, he's part of Dad Talk, and we've talked, and I'm going to get more involved with him. I'm also part of a Front Row Dads group, which John Vroman runs out of Austin, Texas. We've got 200 members. Yes. So
you're gonna get it down with the Man's Purpose one? Like, that's his.
That's Jeff's. Yes. So I believe that, you know, it's important to surround ourselves with people of like-minded individuals. And so the more we can be around together to lock arms, I would say the higher quality level of parenting we can have. So yeah, those are the two that I'm really focused on and really getting involved in. I've been involved in Front Row Dads for now 4.5, 5 years at this point.
Okay. And that one, I don't know about that one. What's that one about?
Yeah. So I was when I was with a company, this gentleman who I've known now for 20 years, he was an international keynote speaker. He was an author, and he said, look, there is a need for spaces for dads who are struggling, who don't know what to do or how to do it. And we need to provide something with people who are crushing it, not only in business, but crushing it in life. And so if you look up frontrowdads.com, it's all over the place. It's a gentleman by the name of John Vroman. I've met some of my best friends there. And, you know, I've known some of them for just a few years or a few months, short term. We have virtual events. We'll be in Key West here in about 3 weeks, where we're going to have a 3-day immersion where we can really discuss the things that are on our mind. How do we stay healthy for our kids? You know, not only emotionally and spiritually and physically healthy, but how do we deal with the things and the challenges that we're running across? How many people have 6 kids? How many people don't have any yet and just got married? What are they supposed to expect when they have their first child? You know, how do we deal with finances and wealth and legacy? And, you know, we have these 6 pillars that we deal with. So it's something that's very comprehensive, something that we continue to stay engaged in and focused in throughout the month. We have some monthly calls. We have virtual summits. We have in-person meetings, and we also travel the world to get a chance to lock arms with these people and do life with them. So it's a super cool deal.
Sounds good. Sounds like something I would like to be a part of one day. Man, you know, like I said, I'm starting to get into them now, and the business masterminds is trying to find the time and all this stuff. But there's always time for something cool like that, I think. So I guess the last thing I want to ask you is, for other than the dad joke, I hope you got ready. You forget?
I got to think of one. I might have to Google
it real quick. See, that's why I dropped it in there, because I was like, I forgot to remind him. But it's okay. I got you covered in case you don't have one. What's your best piece of that life advice to dad entrepreneurs that are out here? And we're coming across so many kinds, so you should be good for that. I mean, you know, we're dealing with, we got in them groups, we got pastors, we got authors, we got coaches, we got businessmen, you know, entrepreneurs of all stripes. I mean, but it's just some young guy coming in. I think the guys that need it the most, to be honest with you, are the ones that are just new fathers coming in, like maybe late 20s, early 30s, that have actually been successful at a little business. Now they have to actually hit the brakes on their, you know, 18-hour days and, you know, go lifestyle, because you're not going to get sleep anymore, and you got a partner there, and that partner is not like going to say, oh yeah, I got this. You're like, here, take this baby, I need sleep. What would you give to those guys?
This is the whole mantra that I think might tie that in. You know, the question that I always ask somebody if they're trying to find balance, number one, they're never going to have it. They have to figure out what plates are spinning in the air, what balls they're juggling, how many, and
let a few drop. I always say that you got a lot of plates. Sometimes a few of them are going to drop. Oh well, but
yep,
that's the magic of it.
Here's the question that I ask for people who are successful entrepreneurs. For guys, I ask: are you a businessman with a family, or are you a family man with a business? And that usually really hits home when they realize that the majority of their time is spent focused on building an empire in business and forgetting about building the empire at home. So I would say that that is actually the mantra of Front Row Dads. I kind of stole that, but when I ask people that, they really take that in. And the ones that really hit it, they understand that their priorities need to change. And so I have my business as 4th in line on my priority list. So the first is God, the second is spouse, the third is kids, and the fourth is business. And I know that can be really hard to swallow, because it's like, how do you make things function if business is 4th and everything revolves around your business? Well, that's not the case anymore. We have built our business enough and done the heavy lifting, which there are seasons of times that where we focus on that a little bit more. I would just say that, we've kept that at a steady 4, and we really like that it's there. So that way we can always continue to, kind of go in between. So hopefully that helps.
It does. I wrote it down because I like that. All right, brother. Got that dad joke?
Yeah, I got that dad joke.
Got that dad joke? I'm gonna give you one for your daughter too, by the way. So when you're done, let's hear yours real quick.
All right. Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing?
I have no idea.
Really? No guesses?
I don't play golf, so I mean, rarely. So
in case they get a hole in one.
Oh, man, I get that. I know that kills at the club. I know it does.
I just cracked myself up. That was great.
That's pretty good, though. So I'll give you one for your daughter. It's goofy, but, she's 10, so this should be okay. Why was Cinderella bad at soccer?
Why was Cinderella bad at soccer? I was going to say something with a slipper, but I have no idea.
She kept running from the ball.
That was better than the hole in one.
I mean, it's that under 12 range. You got to keep it under for some of these. I mean, I got plenty of them, but they certainly don't stay in that range. But that was one of the more family friendly ones. The mermaid one. If she understands that there's problems.
The Ariel. Are you talking about Little Mermaid?
No. It's let me see. How does the joke go? Why did the okay, yeah,
gotta get it right.
Why did the Little Mermaid change? Why did the I'm saying it wrong. See, you messed me up. Put me on the spot.
You want to Google it?
Okay. Why did the Little Mermaid wear seashells?
So I have no idea.
She grew out of her bee shells.
Actually, my oldest is in a training bra, so she would probably understand that.
All right, then. You got two Disney jokes for the price of one. I'll probably get
Damn. Well Disney, worth the price of admission. Disney's
coming after me. They about their money right now.
Right.
All right, brother. This was a good time. I'm glad we got to reconnect. I got to get back on Clubhouse again. Probably maybe I'll try to get in there tomorrow. What time? So why don't we talk about, like, if people want to plug into the dad Clubhouse groups? What are the times? I mean, I'm not doing no 7 o'clock in the morning one, but give me like a 10, 11 o'clock time slot, because I know you got one.
Yeah. So we're doing every day, 7 days a week in the morning at 9:05 a.m. Central, 7:05 on the West Coast and Pacific, and then 10:05 Eastern. I am going to have one of our moderators decided he wants to run an evening room now. And so I don't know when that'll be because he's in Bali. So he's 13 hours away from the central time zone in the future. And so that'll be his morning that he runs it. And then it'll be in the evening. So as soon as I get that time, first of all, the club is called Are You Man Enough? And we have different topics. This morning we talked about femininity. So we had 3 femininity experts come in, and they got a chance to knock this thing out of the park. We talk about masculinity. We talk about mental health. We talk about how to eat healthier. So every topic that you can think of, we really get into, and a TBD on the time for the afternoon and evening for you, Jason, but I will get it to you, and then you can brag about it and, get it out if you'd like.
But what's the name of the club again? One more time.
Are You Man Enough? That's also my podcast as well, which you'll be featured on as soon as I can lock you down for a date. Are You Man Enough Club? And you can find it on Clubhouse.
Am I man enough? We'll find out soon enough.
I like the buys, dude. The guns are looking good. Even though that bill was passed, it looks like they still might be a little illegal because they look pretty stout and powerful, my friend.
There's no ghosts in these guns.
At least we keep up with it, right?
All right, brother. It was good talking to you, and hang out in the green room. Don't go anywhere real quick. But yeah, we're gonna appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in tonight, and look forward to doing yours too.
You got it, my friend. Thank you, Jason. It was a pleasure, man.
All right. talk to you soon. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight. My back held up. Actually, laughter is the best medicine. I didn't feel it too much today, and I'm glad you guys got to stick with us for this one. If you didn't know already, I didn't really talk about it earlier, but if you guys have any sort of, one of the things I did mention was trying to help 100 dads become, well, 100 people become tech entrepreneurs, and the way I'm doing that is through dadlabs.tech, and just a quick rundown on that. Basically, I help people bring their ideas to life. If you come up with an idea that you have some kind of great tech idea that could possibly change the world, me and another dad, we got together. We decided to help guys like you, people like you, bring these kind of things to market in a sort of a JV fashion. So it's like Shark Tank without so many sharks, or maybe we're a little sharky. I don't know. But the best thing I could tell you is bring us an idea. If we like it, we will help you develop it, as long as you're willing to take it all the way through, because we don't want your idea unless you're coming along with it. If we accept it, that means you're on for the ride too. So if that's something that you have, maybe on a yellow pad somewhere, or some notes on your phone for a good idea, you just never got it off the ground, feel free to submit that to me at dadlabs.tech, www.dadlabs.tech. Yep, that's how you get there. And, hopefully I can help you with that. So that's it for me for tonight. As always, you've been a pleasure. I've certainly been a pleasure, at least to myself. Anyway, guys, take care, comb your hair, and I'll see you on the next one. Daddy out.